mic is muted. I think that's true. I'm pretty sure everything is up and going, but my mic is muted and I'm just being, now I'm being redundant. Morgan's here.
Oh.
Hey, Morgan.
I am indeed here.
Hey, guys. And it's a little bumpy ride, but my internet infrastructure has been kind of shit recently, so we're doing the best we can over here at the Ludic Society. So yeah, welcome to the show. Welcome back. The stream may drop more frames than usual because my upload speed is just awful. So I apologize if this is borderline unwatchable, but we're gonna get this all fixed up before next week, hopefully. I just need to get the technicians out to, you know, say more about, you know, what's going on. And if anybody has anything I can do in the meanwhile to in chat to like fix the frame dropping issue, because we're gonna be watching a lot of video media, then, you know, I'd appreciate the support or help or suggestions, because I don't actually know how to deal with this issue at all. It's incredibly not great. Hell, if it's
incredibly
like,
not great.
If it looks really bad, I might just call this off. We'll see. But I want to do this tonight. I want more Stockroach. Morgan wants more Stockroach. David wants more Stockroach, and he's not even here. So why don't I ask Morgan?
He's in chat.
Yeah, he is here, but he's not with us. He's with us, but he's not with you. Got it right.
He's with us. He's not dead, but
oh yeah. Oh shit. We summoned David.
hello.
I need to figure out. I just wanted to come say hi, and also just share my video of my kitty.
Oh, what a good cat. What a good baby.
Oh,
wow. Apollo is so good.
I think my cat is right there. My
it's
my nice high quality webcam now.
David, when you came in, the video feed got better for a moment. I think maybe you fixed it.
Ooh. Triforce, trifecta.
No, I might have to drop a bit right down or something.
Why not?
Well, welcome back, guys. I apologize again for the frame dropping. David, you look really good for feeling so shitty. I don't have a cat, but I do have a new mug. It's got a nice skull on it. It's very cute.
That's fun.
So would you guys like to do your introductions?
I'm David. I'm a second year PhD student here at UW Milwaukee.
I am Morgan. I am a cultural anthropology student at UW Milwaukee.
And I am Ren. I am a master's student in English here, and also the person with the bad internet today. So, you know, apologies again. I'm just gonna keep apologizing for that. I feel really bad about it.
Always. Well, I mean, David was, I guess. David was the one that had
transferred
bad internet.
over to me. Like now it's my curse, and until Spectrum decides to come out and wiggle its wand, it's gonna keep being my curse.
If I could send Eli over to you and fix it, I would.
Please,
he
by
probably
all
could,
means.
to be honest, but...
Oh, no fence is gonna stop Eli.
Just take a bolt cutter.
Yeah, no shitty fence is gonna stop that guy. I know that much. So let's. Do you want to read the land acknowledgement and then we can get right to it?
Sure. Let me get to it. Bye. So, in Milwaukee, we acknowledge that we live and work on traditional Potawatomi, Ho-Chunk, and Menominee homelands along the southwest shores of Michigami, part of North America's largest system of freshwater lakes where the Milwaukee, Menominee, and Kinnickinnic rivers meet, and the people of Wisconsin's sovereign Anishinaabe, Ho-Chunk, Menominee, Oneida, and Mohican nations remain present. There you go.
Nice. It looks like the only way I can fix the stream integrity is by dropping the stream and starting it up again, which may be of value, but I think maybe we should just rough it out for a day and then come back to it, you know, with better internet next week.
Yeah.
So, you know, for those who are following along in chat or whatever else, I would recommend generally, whatever we do, maybe treat us like a podcast today, and then, you know, go out and get the videos and watch them on your own. I mean, we're gonna do our best, but I mean, I'm looking at it on my tablet right now, and she does not look pretty. She looks like she is barely getting through it. Let me see if I can do anything on the stream side. Technical issues, the stream.
Not the first time.
No, I mean it's not. I could drop the.
Un-
The best.
Fortunately, for the last few times when you've died, it's at the end of streams.
Yeah, and I
So
can live with that.
we just leave it off.
I can live with that. And like, well, you know, we're gonna not every stream has to be perfect. Sometimes it can be a little imperfect. It's fine. So
Yeah,
where
yeah,
we
we're
leave
not
off with
professionals.
Stockroach, the stock of the roaches.
We were learning about his issues. We had thought that he said that he was in the hospital for COVID, but we don't think he was in the hospital for COVID.
Yes, I believe.
And he wrote a bunch of stuff, and Night Roach appeared.
Yes, and we invested in the ARG market. So I want to just give a quick
yes.
a quick note to the people who are following from home who are really avid Stockroach fans. We will not be covering Stockario and the digital world until nearly the end of our coverage. And this is because, like, Stockario, in my opinion, reads better as a piece that you like engage with instead as like a big thing, instead of engaging with it kind of in little chunks alongside, which is how it was produced. For David and Morgan's sake, there's a micro ARG, an embedded game in the game called Stockario in the digital world, which is maybe made by the Stockroach, but maybe he just found it. We're not sure.
Maybe he just found it. Who knows?
Who knows? But it's important to the overall narrative and kind of the mysteries that occur within it. It's majorly metaphorical for the whole series, but it's also just, you know, something that you want to experience in little chunks as you go, as opposed to, or rather not in one long shot, instead of experiencing it in little chunks, which is kind of how it was played. So we're going to wait and then we're going to pick that up. It's kind of like 34 Sonnets. I don't want to start reading 34 Sonnets now and then slowly read it as we go. I want to give you guys a digitized copy not to be distributed, you know, of these scans, and then we can kind of read it as a group, you know? Also, thanks for the follow, Addie Bun. Awesome stuff.
Thank you.
So with the preamble aside, and our lovely friend Maskey here to help us out, we are going to watch 3 easy steps for attracting lucrative sponsorships to your YouTube brand. Seeing as Morgan is researching YouTube, I really feel that this might be very informative for you.
Very informative. Oh, are you gonna?
Of course,
Yes,
but of
ask
course,
if you were gonna stream. If it fucks with your internet, maybe like I could stream it, and then we could.
It might be a good idea. We'll see how it goes. If I start dropping more frames, then like maybe it's the only way we're gonna get by. But Night Roach will occasionally make content for it, so that's when this stuff happens. Yeah, I'm gonna mention those sorts of things, Trombone. You're welcome to throw it into the chat too, because I know that Night Roach starts making content for Stockario very early on after it's announced.
Yeah.
I think we should try having Morgan stream it.
Does it look really bad?
Yeah.
You're going all choppy.
All right, yeah, I'll stop streaming. So, Morgan, if you would really appreciate it. Let me link it to you in our chat. Oh, actually, it should be pinned, the YouTube link.
I do not see. Oh, there's the YouTube.
Yeah, you're going to go to 3 easy steps for attracting lucrative sponsorships to your YouTube brand. And
hey, Matthew, Excel DM's in chat.
Oh, Excel DM is in chat. Yeah, I apologize to, and maybe like, you know what might be a good idea is if I drop the links into our chat as well, so that people can follow along there if they want to, because our frames are bad. So we'll get around this a little bit. We'll get around this as best we can. That's what I would describe it as.
Okay.
So again, sorry for this, chat. It's not ideal for us, but we are doing the best we can. So here is the first video we're gonna watch. If you guys want to jump over there, Morgan will pull it up and we'll watch it here. These videos are like shorter, so we should be able to get through a good chunk of them.
Okay. Now, if I full screen this, will it fuck up everything?
No, it should be fine, and it should share audio, but we'll see.
Okay, sweet.
Wow, yeah, the screen is really stable when I'm not doing this shit. Do turn on the closed captions, by the way. Yeah, it could be a little louder.
Can be a little louder? Okay. I just put it all the way up, so we're gonna... Is that good?
Yeah, could you turn on the closed captions?
What's up, Money Grub? Stockadoodle-doo. This is the Stockroach, and I'm here with a brand new series called Business. Are you kidding me?
Uh-oh. System overload.
Beach ball of death.
Yeah, we're still in the what is lovingly called the what did Tron call it? The too little ram arc.
So this is a brand new series
Yes, the
called
two little
Business
arrow
Tips.
arc.
And my business tip for today is all about how to attract lucrative sponsorships to your YouTube.
Sorry, I'm getting distracted by my cat. He's curling up in a ball.
And the way that you do that is
Justified,
a lot
justified.
of people have this old saying, which is
Diaries.
No, Morgan's got to have the.
No, I got it.
You gotta have the reflexes, like a
Gotta have the
cat,
reflexes.
like Apollo.
Like my
Yeah,
cat.
please turn the subtitles on if we can.
Curled up in a little ball.
Oh yeah, sorry, I can turn the subtitles.
Nah,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, they're mildly helpful, given how quiet things would go. Too much RAM. The too much RAM.
The too much RAM arc. So,
For
dear
the tr-
diary, I've been trying to take champ for longer walks to help me get in shape, but the wind has been blowing too hard. It makes my skin itch. Okay, all right. Maybe if
Morgan, before I forget, XLDM is asking us to turn on the subtitles on the video.
Oh, I just did.
You're good.
Perfect.
Deleting. Alrighty. Maybe if I keep doing it, it'll get better. I'm kind of glad we're not going to school right now. It will give me a chance to get some swole arms. Before anyone sees me again, I hope my muscles don't get too big. That vaccine doesn't work. Okay, all right. If they're
Just
too
squeeze
strong,
it
they
back
can break
out.
the needle. Also, Ashley posted a new poem today. It was so beautiful. She knows so many different words that rhyme. It's incredible.
This is I remind
Ashley
everybody.
Does she have a
poetry?
short stack business?
Short stack business.
Ashley does have an all poetry. We just can't fucking find it. So that poem probably exists somewhere, and we just don't know where it is on the web. So chat, find Ashley's all poetry. Operation All Poets.
It's actually like a question. Like, if it never gets found, then is it a part of the game? If he made it?
Can I talk about the game design here?
Why don't we get to the end of the video and then come back to it so we don't so we get through some stuff. Sorry, David. The book.
All right, so we have another Dear Diary Wednesday. Beckek in California. We never ... Random questions. Are girls more into Bitcoin or something else? I really want to know what the something else is.
Probably hex coin, if I had to make a guess. He's probably trying to figure out what kind of cryptocurrency will impress Ashley.
On a sadder note, the next one is Mom says we're out of money. That's sad. Yeah. Sponsorship, advertising. Make music longer.
He's very concerned about making money.
Yes, he's very concerned about that. So it also goes back to like Dad's in jail arc that I
thought Dad was dead.
Well, it's like Dad's dead, Dad's in jail, Dad was embezzling. We don't know what Dad did,
Dad's
but Dad's not
somewhere.
here anymore.
Yeah.
Narratively, the dad is absent in some way or another.
Yep.
Indeed. All right. I will continue.
Right. Please.
People have this old saying, which is dress for the job that you want, not just the job that you have. But I'm going to extend that philosophy even farther, and I'm going to say to all the money grubs that you should be advertising for the sponsorship that you want, not just the sponsorship that you have.
You want to make more money?
So that
you
brings
like
me
money?
to my next topic, which is something I like to call a prospective advertisement, also known as a hypothetical sponsorship. And on that note, I'm proud to announce my brand new hypothetical partnership. I have been sponsored.
I love his little animation. It looks so good.
An amazing
it does.
Product. I'm so proud to be a part of this. It's called
really
Disney's Coca-Cola.
Oh gosh.
A brand new drink.
Yeah.
This is the future
so good.
of beverages. And
as someone who has taught intro to mass media, I'm a little salty right now.
You feel a little called out?
A little called out. Ooh.
Oh, there's supposed to be sound. Here it is. Disney's Coca-Cola. Come on.
And hope.
Yep.
So I'm gonna try a different program real quick.
We have some Japanese things here, but I don't know any of these things.
Yeah, what do we have here? We've got. Oh man, I actually don't think I recognize any of these.
Do you think these must be like things he's created?
Oh, well, it could. I think. Well, we know he has a folder on his computer that has like, you know, X-rated Japanese hentai, so it's possible.
I will say I looked up Usage's Disaster Boy of the Clock of Confusion. It's a Sailor Moon episode.
Oh, really? Oh, so maybe these are all Sailor Moon episodes.
Usage is Sailor Moon. She's quite literally Sailor Moon.
I feel like a super culturally illiterate person not knowing what any of these are. This is like so out. Chat, help us. Tell us what the things are.
All right, so this is probably just all Sailor Moon stuff.
Everyone knows you can download RAM for free online, right?
Maybe if I delete my RAM, the frames will stop dropping. Oh, that's just normal. Hey.
Yeah, I love this bit because it's so ridiculously hypermediated. Like what? This is impossible.
Video recording his computer restarting.
Yeah, like it's functionally impossible thing.
So he's the Stockroach and Jeremy Gilbert Jr.
Yes, who is his?
Junior.
I guess that implies his dad is Jeremy Gilbert Sr.
Indeed, it does.
Jeremy Bearimy. If anybody's seen The Good Place.
Oh my god. So I would buy that interpretation of Stockroach.
Right there, dude. You could just click on it. It's right there. Oh, I could pause this and look at his thing.
His bookmarks.
This desktop is giving me anxiety.
And also his desktop. You can see that his Sibelius is growing. His collection of Sibelius things.
Well, then you notice they're all Night Roach videos. They've all got the extended spelling, so he's just, I guess the Night Roach can make Sibelius in their sleep, but can't save it off of the desktop.
Save it off the desktop.
So, I mean, you know, we all have our limitations, right? That's how that works. So, yeah.
We got some folders. Quest for the Olden Harumpus. Quieter songs when I'm crying. Sad. Process quad tones. Fun. All right. Alone in a Crowded Room by Snake something.
Snakeskin. It will come up later, believe me.
All right, Snakeskin.
That was my impersonation.
And then 7 expert tips to how to get YouTube blank. Probably to recommend your videos.
Maybe. Yeah.
Some SEO stuff.
Quieter songs for when I'm crying is so sad. So sad.
It's a sad situation. Open that QuickTime Player.
So, all right, be quiet. Hold on for a second.
Champ is a good boy, though. I appreciate him a lot.
All champs are good boys.
Hi, buddy.
All right, sorry about that, everybody. And I I do want to apologize for some minor technical difficulties that maybe had something to do with my RAM, which I've been having a lot of trouble with deleting lately. So I'm gonna delete a few RAM right now, and I think that'll clear the problem up.
I'm gonna delete a few RAM.
A few RAM, just a few.
Just a few RAM.
There was one of those
It's
that I
like
needed.
the Gen Z version of the Google.
He Oh.
Lots of songs there.
That was just something I'm working on for
Oh, wedding ideas.
for a client
Ooh.
of mine.
For a
Yeah,
client.
I should say more accurately. But anyway, it looks like my battery is running out of juice, so I'm gonna go grab my charger real quick. But first, I just want to say real quick that your support means a lot to me, and if you haven't already done so, make sure to leave a comment telling me your favorite animal. I'll be right back.
Well, Morgan, why don't you go leave a comment right now? I'm joking. You're good.
What is your favorite animal, Morgan?
Oh, I like a lot of animals. I like koalas and tigers and bears. All sorts of things.
All right, I'm back, so let me just plug this baby
I have
in,
this cute
and we
duck.
can roll the clip.
All right, yeah, and by the way, Morgan, before we play the next one, could you try to get the volume up on your end too? Because I'm boosting it boosting it 12 dB, and it's still quiet. I don't know. I mean, it depends on where it is in your mixer.
Does it actually take from my mixer? I thought it would just take from my thing.
No, it would take from your mixer.
Yeah.
So yeah, David, you had a point you wanted to make about this video.
I'm going to open these in a incognito tab because it's gonna mess up my beautiful curated, terrible YouTube I recommended.
I don't have a favorite animal. I'm trying to think of my favorite animal right now.
Didn't you have a thing you wanted to say about game design specifically here?
There we go. I fixed it. Okay.
I think we might have some suspicious people in Streamlabs.
Oh, yep, that sure does look like it might be a hate raid set of bots, doesn't it? Well, David, we should get on that. We should get on fixing that ASAP.
Might be very loud in my mixer, but anyway. So, what was the thing you want to talk about with the thing that you want to talk about, David?
Sorry,
oh, shoot, I just banned Streamlabs again.
I'm trying to figure out how to do it. Yeah.
You have to go. You would have to go into like a specific tray. I'm gonna go unban fucking Streamlabs.
My sound got broken.
We are just in like we're in deep, just absolute hell of trying to get this thing managed today. I apologize for you guys. Usually this thing is way more put together. But
my sound was broken.
Oh, your sound was broken? Is it working now?
Broken. Now it's fixed. I'm back.
Excellent. Gonna try and fix this thing with Streamlabs. But David, you were saying something about game design specifically?
Yes.
Oh, so Morgan was talking about whether or not like we can think of something that is like alluded to, but maybe not part of the game, as like not part of the game or part of the game, right? And I think ARGs get this weird thing that I think is inherent in all games and all play, but I think it's maybe more like present in ARGs, is like there's always, I feel like part of play is like there's always a lack of information or a lack of like physical material reality, and like kind of makes up for, or I don't want to say makes up for, right? Because the gap in that material reality is important, but play like with or engages with things that are hypotheticals that aren't like part of the actual game itself. They use it to their effect. So I'm if you think of like genre as play, right? So like, you know, so like Breath of the Wild, it uses some things from the genre of open world games, but doesn't use everything, right? And so like the gap of not having specific mechanics like other games is still part of that gaming experience because it's situated within this realm of play, right? Like that gap is an important part of distinguishing that game and that play from other open world games. And in ARGs too, right? What you have access to, what you don't have access to, that's another gap in like material or informational or gamic play. But that's an important part of like establishing the understanding and like the meaning of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of that made sense at all, but
You're saying there's some sort of ambiguity that makes
Big save.
inhabiting a game possible in a way? Because you have to. There's always a puzzle for games, right? There's always materiality. There's always something to figure out, kind of.
I'm trying.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've. This is something I've been trying to figure out is like how much does like the gap that the player fills, right? And this is, I mean, this is something people have been talking about with literature and film, et cetera, for years, right? But I'm thinking specifically with games in terms of like working with information that isn't like a core part of the game. Like, how does that work? Because like you can think of like a book, like you're filling in the information, like in your head. I'm just trying to figure out like how like gaps or like ambiguities in play are important to all games. And I think
Oh, yeah.
ARGs like kind of highlight that, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you end up in an interesting position with, let's take something like Ashley's all poetry, right? There may be information there that is really important to us understanding her character. We don't have access to it, but there's a difference between not having access to it and knowing it exists and not having access to it and not knowing it exists, right? So there are certain things that I've heard Trombone say or Mediocre say, or the people who are just more generally involved with Stockroach say that I'm like, you're hedging that off of, you know that Ashley is a poet, she's posting to all poetry, we know how Stockroach feels about Ashley's poetry. These are like known unknowns, basically, in terms of the Rumsfeldian lingo, although I'm not a big fan of Donald Rumsfeld. Hard to be a fan of Donald Rumsfeld. I imagine there aren't many of them left. We here at Serious Play are not fans of war criminals. Strong stance to take today. But in terms of other stuff, I mean, if you don't know that part of the puzzle exists, then you don't account for it. You know, you don't count for it as a white space. You have to fill at some level, or want to fill on some level. On top of that, in cybertext theory, we call like what kind of symbolic markers you have access to, or rather, a text that modulates the number of symbols that you have access to at any given point in time is called a random access text. And that's kind of what's going on here, right? It's not that like the game is in a state where what you can access and can't access is changing, but it's that we don't really know how to begin getting there. And that's like an issue of access, if that makes sense. Like that's how I would categorize it in the text. But again, you know, that's using like an ELIT term to describe games, and I do think there's like, it is kind of hard to make that jump sometimes, you know?
Yeah. And I definitely think like if you know it exists, I feel like there's a difference between knowing it exists and not knowing how to find it. That leads it a little bit more, that's better than not even knowing. Like for ARGs, I feel like there's a very big possibility of something being created by the creator and then being left in the aether, like not being found by a player base. Whereas use the example like Destiny 2, there's a lot of lore that's left ambiguous purposely so people could talk about it and make fan theories and things. So I feel like ARGs, it's like with Ashley, it's like you said, we know it exists, and so we can speculate about it and we can talk about it and we can kind of like fill the lores in. But I feel like ARGs are special in a way that things could just
Not appear ever.
be there and not appear ever.
Yeah.
Or when we were talking about archiving, things get lost.
And the other thing
in
that's
the lifetime of
interesting
the game
is that an ARG creator can say, well, I'm gonna make this, and have in their head, like a DM would, if the players do this, this, and this, then I'm gonna follow through with this plan. You know, if I build a community of 60 people, I'll do this. Or I build a community of 200 people, I'll do this. And so maybe some of those materials are prepped in the background, and that process seems to me at least to be really important to the life of the work in a way that maybe it isn't as relevant for other mediums. But then, you know, you can get to the point where like that, like the condition never materializes. You never get 60 people watching your ARG, you know? You never get a community that's big enough to actually handle some of those problems, so you change the problems. You know, and it's like, well, shit. I mean, there are two ways you can move around that if you're a creator. You can have one story and change the way it's relayed for the size of your audience, or you can have multiple different threads you could go down depending on how many people you're dealing with, you know? So it's like... You know, how many games are lost, have lost artifacts in that way because, you know, the game didn't blow up to like a size the creator thought it might.
Yeah, you were gonna say something, David?
And I was gonna say, right, part of how the more obscure or hard to find material in an ARG works is that part of the game is like you have to have, or I shouldn't say you have to have, but you can have materials that are almost impossible to find, right? And that's part of like the digging into the mystery or the narrative of it is like there are some things about narratives that are just unknowable.
This is true.
And I think a lot of ARGs kind of rest and sit within that thing with narrative is like the truth, right, is never really one thing or completely knowable.
Yeah, and especially with like that's why like I think ARGs seem to lean towards mysteries, whether they're like supernatural scary mysteries or like figure out what's going on sort of things, because the format itself really feeds into mystery and fact hunting and such.
That's come up a lot recently in terms of conversations I've had with people. They're like I feel like there's an increase, at least in the circles I'm in. People are like, well, why are we really writing like sci-fi, horror, and mystery and like very little else? Like, why are we always doing speculative fiction essentially, or you know, gothic horror? What? And like obviously there are ARGs that exist outside of those genres, but they like. You know, we could have run this show and never left the horror genre. There are so many fucking horror ARGs.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's even like
you know,
everything can be, well, because I think there's a idea that that game format informs story in a way. Like there's a back and forth, and how much that back and forth actually is there is you know, up to interpretation. But like ARGs is just like, hey, you are fact hunting, you are exploring the internet and finding facts. It makes sense. Why are we making so many live action movies of video games? Because that's what's popular, man.
it makes money. Chris Pratt is Mario. And when are we getting, can I get a Stockroach movie, live action movie where fucking Danny DeVito is the Roach? Because like I'll take that.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily tangential, because you know a lot of people have kind of come to realize that that video games have a story that can be told in a different way, but the video games that they're picking can't. Like Mario.
It's going to be a whole new narrative, right?
It's a hard
it can't just, well, because like Mario is such a simplistic story because the game system holds up Mario. Mario is popular because Mario is a platformer. Mario is not popular because of its story.
What are you talking? You're telling me that Mario isn't? He goes to a castle, and the princess isn't there, and then he goes to another
and then he's got to
castle.
go to a different castle.
Now there are really interesting little Mario stories, but
you guys know there's gonna be something. He's like gonna go to White Castle, and somebody's gonna say your burger's in another castle or something.
Oh Jesus! Please don't do this to me, David.
They also
got to
get that sweet merchandise, you know.
You know, speaking of merchandise, though,
it's great product placement.
If you could up the volume and then click on the next video on our list, which is the actual ad that he couldn't get to play for Disney's Coca-Cola.
Okay, the major announcement?
No, not the major announcement. It is literally the next video. It's the one with the horse head and the confetti.
Oh, I was looking at 3+ tip for acing job interviews.
Oh no, we'll get there. Don't worry.
3 easy steps for attracting lucrative. All right. I tried to up the volume. Is that better?
Yes, it's perfect. Well, actually, I don't know how it is for the people on stream, but tell me if it's... I'll do some modulating on my own.
Very 70s. Ooh. That's not
Beautiful. Developed by Jeff Bezos.
It's my little wobble dance, I guess. I'll just do this. I don't know why. It's just gonna be a mess. I fucking love the ad, man. It's so good. Also, I just want to say thank you, Trombone Knuckles, for helping the Stockroach draw the Pegasus, because it looks so good.
Oh, let me.
And like also Groovy Lobster, thank you for joining us today. And yeah, I mean, I heard maybe they added like voice recordings into the Mario games. Like you hit a block and like a little like tape recorder comes out and you listen to the articles. That's how they're doing story in Mario games these days, right?
That's well, I mean, like, I actually don't know if Mario Odyssey has a lot of story. I just watched speedruns of Mario Odyssey.
It's such a good game, and I liked
the Galaxy's story. I thought it was pretty good, all things considered. Isn't
like,
this great though?
This is fantastic.
Like it's just, we talked before about like taking the PowerPoint and like turning it from like a bureaucratic thing into like something that's like comedy and like changing the genre in that way, in a way that's kind of really vibrant. And I feel like here this is just like here's a bunch of shit that like is kind of pseudo advertising thrown together into a blender, and what comes out is this like incredible ridiculous thing with like a bumping track. It sounds so good. It's so like Sega Genesis, Sonic level.
It's very Sega Genesis. It's kind of like Factory. I would say it's like Factory.
The ad gives me like 1970s with like the music and then also some of the visuals combined with like a modern day Skittles ad.
Yeah, it's got the Skittles ad thing. You're absolutely right.
I've been watching
but like the weird sense of humor that doesn't really make sense. Right? I mean, here obviously, but yeah.
It's very much like early 2000s or like later 2000s Flash animations that just threw things at the wall and saw what stuck.
Yeah. Oh, you're totally right. It's very Newgrounds in certain ways, like from top to bottom, but without all the weird nonsense that was on Newgrounds. It isn't like just fun. This is like fun Newgrounds, not like shitty Newgrounds.
I don't know. I feel like this might have been classified as shitty Newgrounds back in the day.
So I will say, Jeff Bezos, truly the owner of Disney, and also Coca-Cola. Yeah. He's a product designer. And it is really interesting to see like these elisions where one piece of culture about how business works gets connected to another piece of pop culture about how it becomes like a pop culture collage. It's just it's mass culture. Like it's a drink for mass culture almost.
It's I forget who would say this, but bricolage.
It's a bricolage.
Is that Bourdieu? I don't know. But
that's somebody.
It's not Bourdieu.
It's someone.
It's Disserteau, actually, I think.
Is it really? Oh my god.
Yeah, I think it's Disserteau.
Disserteau and ARGs, they just go together, I swear.
Well, Disserteau talks a lot of like all the practice theories work with ARGs because inherently the practice is part of the ARG.
Yeah, it's a process media.
Yeah.
The making is part of the show in a way that it is in other ways. Yeah.
Yeah, I think something you pointed out about like the business as like a pop cultural artifact and how like the illusion of everything, not the illusion, but like the meshing of everything,
the slamming together.
It's interesting. It reminds me of a tweet I saw, which is like about all of these billionaires like having divorces, and there's all these headlines like, "If Jeff Bezos can't make a marriage work, how can you?" Or like something dumb like that, right? And that's like I think kind of the weird mix of that's like a good example of like the weird mix of like celebrity and also like business for these business people, obviously, right? And then also this weird like idolization of them where like they're perfect, so if they can't do it, you can't. You know what I mean? They're obviously perfect because they're the billionaires in our capitalist system, so they are the icon, they're the icons to look up to. So you have this weird like mishmash of those three things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get you.
I think
Of course, it lends itself to like everybody just like meshing together.
that's why
Not
like I
like
also
the
think
businessman.
like Disney and Coca-Cola are such like pop icons, especially like Disney. Like I think nowadays Disney is such a cultural artifact, which I hate because I'm like not a Disney person, but like there's so many people who view Disney
You're not
as
a
part
Disney
of
adult,
their
Morgan?
not a Disney adult.
You're not a Disney
No,
adult?
I wasn't even a Disney kid. The Disney that I liked when I was a kid was the live action Three Musketeers with Kiefer Sutherland in it. And
Everybody
that was
loves
the
a good
Disney.
potato. Look, his face looks like a potato. I don't make the rules. Kiefer Sutherland.
Well, Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland.
He looks like a knight. He looks like a handsome baked potato.
Maybe we
okay?
can cast Jack Black as the Stockroach and Kiefer Sutherland as the Stockroach's enemy at school, you know? Who's also his
No, make
best
it Charlie
friend.
You can say a solid snake.
But anyway,
Somebody text us your, or no, tweet at Serious Play your casting for the Stockroach movie.
David, I just got that.
No.
As Salt Snake.
Oh,
Here's
God damn it.
Trombone's claim to fame right here.
Okay, I'm sorry. I need to, for a second, just say I just came up with a fantastic parody that I'm surprised nobody's ever done. So Harry Potter Puppet Pals,
Uh-huh.
but with like Snape, Severus Snape, but it's Snake, Solidus.
It's gotta be out there. It's gotta. There's
Big
no
boss.
way.
Guys, can you tell I'm suffering today?
No, we can't tell at all. Oh, it's a good thing no one can see my.
Yeah,
My
so
screen, I had to
Trombone
close
is officially part of Stockroach. And this is the cool thing, I think, one of the cooler things about ARGs is that if you make a post, like one of my my alternate accounts is on the wiki for John is Dead as like a momentary but important character. And it's like, you make choices to interact with these accounts and suddenly now somebody else is going through this stuff and it's like, bam, you're part of the narrative. Take that, you know?
Well, wasn't like Mediocre also had like a tweet that Trombone like put in his FAQ?
Mediocre has a tweet there. Mediocre got, I think, a drawing from the Stockroach at one point that says like Manticore Power or something. There's a, Stockroach anointed a money grub of the month for a really long time. So there are several fans that just became the quote money grub of the month. So, I'm sure if the game was still running and we were doing this at the time, then we might have gotten a quote money grub of the month or something just for doing this sort of thing. It's just ways that this creator brought their own stuff into, the space. Also, nice. That's such a good tweet back. Oh my God. I love him. Oh, that's funny. So,
but yeah, I definitely think that is kind of, and you also guys talk about like game jackers or whatever, like people who come in to mess with the game intentionally.
mhm.
And I think that's something that ARGs, it's like you can't do that with like, I don't know, a made game or a movie.
It's really hard to steal somebody's game if it's not actively ongoing and also something that you could mock up. It's a very specifically ARG problem, although you see it in like other similar ideas of it in other cultural circles. But as far as games go, it's really hard to hijack something that isn't like something like this.
Baby.
That's a good baby.
My black cat is currently a floof.
He's going under the couch now. I woke him up from his nap.
So our next video in the line of stuff is gonna be
Wait till the
my
fan art
movie.
episode.
Oh yeah, the fan art episode is a thing. I forgot about that. So next we're gonna do my movie, and if you want to do combine that with Alone in the Crowded Room, Money Grub of the Month, which actually gets us right to Money Grub of the Month. Just so we're moving along, since we have a not insubstantial amount I want to try and cover today.
All right, I put it in the queue. Oh no.
So my Harry Potter times
Guys.
Metal Gear Puppet Pals parody was not worth our time, apparently.
It is worth our time. We can do. Why don't
Guys,
we
we
do?
could go.
I'll
we
make
could go
puppets
get
for
a
you, David.
Department master
I'm
class.
just-
Give me to make you some puppets. All right, I'm gonna.
Doesn't have.
Yeah,
This doesn't have captions.
the Night Roach ones tend not to. I'm gonna keep the audio low because of there's not really a lot of sound in this piece anyway. But this is the Night Roach composing some music essentially, and also some other stuff, which you'll see. But Morgan, I think you're still a little quiet on the sound end. So if you, yeah, it's hard. I'm sorry you have to manage this. I'm sorry my frames are dropping like crazy.
No, it's okay. All right.
I'm surprised this many people are still watching us with these frame drops. Clearly, we're wonderful and,
We're just
and
that good.
beautiful, and yeah, we're just technical issues be damned. We're just that good. It's gonna be hard for me to tell on this one, but I can hear it still, just because this is such a quiet video. I'm gonna boost our audio a little bit on my end. Imagine composing in your sleep. I don't think it's such a.
This is the night roach, isn't it?
I love that your cat looks lightly perturbed at the audio.
Oh, my cat or
No,
David's cat?
David's cat. Yours keep going back a little bit.
He's just like, what's going on here? He loves to watch TV with us or watch us play video games. Maybe he'll get into streaming too. Hi, buddy.
Oh, he's saving it. He's saving ass.
Yes, this is an important point detail.
Listen.
He knows how to exit our applications. Oh, wait, what?
Yep, there we go. I'm gonna change the audio for you. Whoa, that's a stretch.
Okay. So this is a few days after. So dress want. Okay, cool. Here is another night roach. And this one.
I'll read this one for you. Dear Diary.
All right.
When Mom was at the store today, I went to her room to get some fabric for a new cape I'm trying to build for Champ. But alas, I accidentally looked for her journal and found it and read some of it. I guess I didn't actually have coronavirus while I was in the hospital. I feel very betrayed. I hope the bookstore calls me back. Yeah, so
it was something that she told him.
Yeah, it appears to be that way, and it's, I mean, family drama aside, which there's a lot of in this series, it's a little, I found this very distressing, because I don't know, I think this was the point in the whole experience where I realized how involved I had gotten in the Stockroach, and started to care for him, and I was like, oh no, oh that's terrible.
Yeah, it feels so bad.
Oh no.
He creeps up on you. He grows in your soul.
In your soul. But yeah, I think we were correct that he didn't have coronavirus. It's interesting. I could imagine being in a mom's position and not wanting to tell your son that something is very wrong with him, either mentally or health-wise, and kind of saying it's coronavirus until you're able to better tell him, or he's better able to understand. But at the same time, not a good thing to do in general. I can understand wanting to do it.
Yeah, but actually following through is something else.
Actually following through and keeping it up for, this is December.
Yeah, it's been
thing in March.
It's been at least 3 months since he's been out of the hospital, and this has been going on. I mean, I'm sure Tromb is more firmly aware of the timeline than I am, but
protecting him from something, definitely Trombone. I definitely think he's protecting him from something, which is probably dissociative disorder or something. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, there's clearly some of that going on, but it is also interesting. The Night Roach's primary function is to try and reach out, and it's clearly a part of his subconscious that's trying to help him, which is really, it's not always the case, and it's good to see a kind of positive look at this kind of dualism. Usually the other personalities are out to hurt you in some way, and that's just not realistic too.
And I think it's
very ableist.
It's there's a lot of differences between what do they call themselves? Systems. I guess they call
alters. You mean?
Well, a system of alters.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
But you have the ones, because typically with dissociative disorder, you have the ones that are protecting you. You have children, which like your memories are locked up in, and then you have like your mean ones. So this one's trying to help him, which is nice. Try to help him in some ways, protect him.
It's a positive look into
positive
this sort of thing, and that's, I think, like I mean, we talked about like the line between like not psychoanalyzing your characters and stuff on this show before. I feel like it's worth recognizing when something's at least a positive like showing of this kind of thing. Yeah,
and I think dissociative disorder is so demonized. I don't know if it's demonized, but it's definitely ostracized in a way of like they're weird. They have people in their heads talking to them, or
Well, it's
that
like
kind of
with
stuff.
Malignant, right, which is the most recent one, which is kind of more camp, I guess. But like Malignant, right? It's like the spoiler alert. It's something where like her brother is in her brain, basically.
yeah.
Oh,
And it's
weird.
like,
well, it's like
right,
Split as well.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like
Split was
with a lot of horror film movies and popular culture, it can very easily use some kind of mental illness because the brain is so like complex that we don't know a lot about it, right? And so like horror kind of takes the idea that like there could be something in our brains that's attacking us, right?
Yeah.
And that turn, right, it stigmatizes a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's the only, I mean, for a very, very, very long time, that was the only access people had to any information about this stuff because it was so like, let's just send them to this, stone cell down in, the backwoods of Wisconsin. And yeah. Mental health representations are usually not good.
Yeah. This one seems to be better. We can enjoy that.
Yes. However you want to, if you want to read it that way.
Yes. We're going to choose to read it that way until proven otherwise. Continuing. So. We got chords. Oh, we're going to snakeskin. Do I need to pause right here?
No, it's some Garfield stuff, but otherwise you're pretty much not missing anything. There's the T.S. Roach all poetry. This one you might want to pause on, just because it's amazing.
There's 24 hours fitness in heaven, and you're still here pumping iron with both arms.
Those pecs are huge.
I can only assume this is his dad. I don't know. I don't know how to read this image because like we've gone back and forth. Is he in jail? Is he dead? What is going on? This person's dead and they're pumping This is like an amazing image and I genuinely love it. It's like so
the way it's drawn, it's like he's not, his like arms aren't the way it's drawn, it's like not human anatomy.
Yeah, but
basically,
I love the papyrus, or the pseudo papyrus, because it's not actually papyrus, but
it's so good, man.
It's like chicken wings. He's got chicken wings.
He's ripped to shit.
It's like a inverse bingo wing.
Or maybe that's his ideal self. If he gets stabbed with the coronavirus vaccine, will it work?
Well, it could actually explain part of his desire to get ripped, right? Is to model after, this person in his life that's clearly important, probably his dad. Which, yeah. So anyway, continuing on.
We're continuing. What? I mean, that's one way to erase the picture. Making a line.
And the rest of this is just the Night Roach drawing something you may recognize from one of the lovely titles of the previous videos. The harp, the harpastum or whatever.
Ah.
Yeah, it's drawing the harp.
That makes sense. I thought it was going to be a dinosaur.
I mean, that would have been pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie. Just a whole like awesome ass dinosaur. Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be like a brontosaurus.
I'd watch that alternate cut of this thing. Just Night Roach is just obsessed with dinosaurs.
T.S. Roach poet at all poetry. Have we found Roach's all poetry?
We've talked about it a little bit before. I'm not sure if there's a new post now. I kind of forgot to check, but if chat throws me new poetry from T.S. Roach, I will go back and check this out. So then this is the important part.
All right, let me go back and we can discuss it. Discuss?
There's not really that much to say about it. It's just another
Is
instance
that
of
supposed to be in the evaluation?
something, I don't know.
In the vault.
That's more likely in the vault. Yeah, it would have that. In that case, it would have this. I think has specific ramifications for Stockario.
Maybe he was playing Borderlands.
Which we'll get to eventually, of course.
Yes, we have his account. Okay, very cool.
Night Scorpion, Stockroach Ron, Stockroach Ep.
Red, orange.
Red.
I love that you guys are just starting to look at all of this stuff, regardless of whether it seems relevant or not. That's how I know you're getting into it. And then if you want to jump to the next one, we don't need to we'll take a break after that if we.
Give me a sec. We're just gonna click on that. Oh hey.
And it's
no, there's no ad.
We're actually gonna get some interesting, some more stuff here. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those captions on.
All right, what's up, money grubs? This is the Stockroach. I'm very sorry.
Chat, tell me if this is too quiet. We can keep playing with the audio.
For a little while, but it's just, sometimes there's a time in your life when you are expecting someone to reach out. Like maybe, for example, you're waiting to receive a phone call, and the phone call doesn't come. And that's a feeling that you have because of that. But I think that in a situation like this, the important part.
Dog D's Place says that's very quiet. I can try sharing it from my screen if that works.
If you need to, we can do that.
Okay.
I can see if my connection has bottomed out enough. Let me check my Streamlabs, see if I'm still dropping frames. So it's probably a good idea for me not to stream it still.
Okay. I can try streaming from my end.
I mean, I have it. You could try. I mean, I have it.
What does suck about it is I'm using Voice Meter, which I could highly recommend, to try and boost it by like 12 dB, and it's still coming across as quiet to them.
Okay. Weird. I can try sharing mine just to see what happens.
Hold on. Let me try playing with my volume mixer. That may help a little bit too. Oh no, I'd be basically maxed, so. Yeah, it's not gonna make a difference.
Okay. I'll try.
Yeah, today is the high-tech problems day, apparently.
That is okay. Right.
Stream's been going for.
You're gonna see all my recommended videos, which is just gonna be a bunch of drag stuff.
We're about an hour in, Sid. We are working on it, and we're trying to get this thing to behave for us. Oh my God, David, you are not kidding.
I'm not kidding. Okay, here we go.
Predictable, but a good choice.
Hey, there's also Zelda Lo-Fi on there, so I'm still pretty cool.
Don't forget the closed captions. It's very important.
Indeed.
Stockroach, I'm very sorry that I have been.
Oh, you're gonna have to mute yourself, David.
Away for a little while.
Whoops. Sorry, everyone. Is that loud enough?
Yes, it's much louder, and plus I'm going to boost it another 12 dB, so we should be good.
But it's just, sometimes there's a time in your life when you are expecting someone to reach out. Like maybe, for example, you're waiting to receive a phone call, and the phone call doesn't come. And that's a feeling that you have because of that. But I think that in a situation like this, the important part is to acknowledge the people who are there for you and who have been there for you in your life. And that's why today I'm actually very excited to announce today's Money Grub of the Month, which is someone who has always been there for me. And that's a song called Alone in a Crowded Room by Snakeskin. So I just want to thank Snakeskin for telling me that it's going to be okay and opening my heart, and for teaching me that a song can have words in it, even if it's not a theme song on TV. It can still have words. So this is my song of that song, and I'm going to do the vocals live. Here we go. I'd like to see you. Sorry. Sorry, I thought I edited this part out, but I'll just turn it down for. It's only a few seconds long. The song's gonna start soon.
Ooh, watch that angle. All right.
Okay, here's the real one. I'd like to see you try and draw the line between stubbornness and strength. Sorry, that's actually the intro again. Okay, here's the song. I'd like to see you try and draw the line between stubbornness and strength and paralysis and fear. Can't tell the difference between a profound thought and paranoia. I haven't had a purely deep thought in years.
Definitely make it. Over here. Or no, that's flat over here.
Sorry about that. I'm gonna have to turn the guitar down. I'm just gonna mute it actually.
Good catch, David. Don't forget to unmute yourself. I don't think I can forcibly unmute you.
Yeah, so this is up. Oppressed memories, repressed memory. If you have a repressed memory, can you? And of course the bara too, but whatever.
We have
Yo, hey, don't shit on how important fucking Gilgamesh is to all of this. He's like he's very attractive anime boy. I think that's worth. Just
Well,
kidding,
I mean,
shit.
me, it's like it's a normal everyday occurrence, so I don't.
David's like, look, sexy guy. Okay, sweet,
Thanks,
good.
David.
We're good.
I really have this as our home screen.
Also, we
and
have.
then so
Go ahead. Sorry.
this Korra one. Oh, did you have something else to mention, Red?
Well, no.
That
I've
previous?
got so this Korra is one of many Korras that will suddenly become useful to us in this moment. And I will, the stream should be able to see this. I'm going to switch over to our Ludic Society chat, which I don't think, well, it might have some extraneous details in it. Let me see if I can pull it up separately in another window.
Should I stop sharing my screen? Or?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm just going to read it from my tablet, thanks. That'll be, at least that way I won't show too much information from our stuff. So here are some other Korra posts that may be of value to us. Starting with this, that's the first one. If you have a repressed memory, can you still remember part of it? Like you have something you can remember part of, but sometimes not other times, and it goes away if you try to write it down. Is that still a repressed memory, or is it different? And then I have been learning a lot recently about repressed memory lately. I believe that I have successfully repressed a memory, but now I need to know how to replace it with a preferable memory. Have not found any tutorials for this. Please advise. So, you get these two posts about him trying to figure out what to do about repressing memories that he doesn't want to have, which may well be why the Night Roach exists.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of times. Trauma is a lot of, and repressing memories is a thing.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is most of the time you don't opt into it. It just kind of happens. So it is kind of funny in like a tragic way to watch him try and opt into it. This is
Well,
my
it's
favorite.
also
Sorry, go
like
ahead.
you can block out, like you can kind of force yourself to block out. Like there's in a way like it kind of happens outside of your like
Right.
consciousness, but you can be aware that your brain is doing that as a defense mechanism.
Right.
Because there's been times where I'm like, I don't remember that happening, but I don't remember the specifics, but I remember it happened. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, that's something my brain just blocked, sort of
Yeah.
thing.
I feel that happens to me a lot because I have PTSD and all, but like, and I dissociate like constantly. So yeah, I mean, I get that much. I just mean you can't be like, or I mean, maybe you can, but very rarely do people like, sit down and go, I'm going to get rid of this memory.
I have successfully repressed a memory, sort of thing. Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's tragic. It adds to the character of the individual in an interesting way. This is my favorite one though of all the core questions. Is there such a thing as drinking too much water? I thought that drinking more, 12 plus cups a day, would help me be athletic, but so far I just have to pee all the time.
To answer his question, yes. There is such a thing as drinking too much water.
So good.
But also, like, it really just continues to show his naivety and youth that he's like, drinking water is healthy, so I should drink 12 cups of water a day.
Yeah, so much more. And then the last one, what's the best way to destroy files that are on an old computer? Like if my friend gave me a new computer, but my old computer has stuff on it that I want gone forever, should I just throw it away or drop it again or what?
Drop it again.
Again. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. So just things to keep in mind, Quora. Thank you, Trombone and Mediocre, for providing that lovely screenshot of that for the stream. And I would have shown it off if not for the technical difficulties, but we got all the information in there. That's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
Let us continue. You may continue.
The snake skin.
Snakes sing.
Oh,
according to that video, it's snake skin actually, but he misspelled it.
No, I want Wild Snake singing to me, man. Don't forget to unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry.
And
actually, just to get rid of the echo.
Okay, I actually need the guitar back for this part, sorry. There's a motor to my left-hand construction I had, and I can't turn the car around. It's all in my head, and I try and stay calm and play it off cool. And I'm trying hard not to ask if you see it too. Yeah, I'm trying hard not to ask if you. I'm just gonna have to let it ring. See it too.
ready for the best part.
Clap along if you want. This is what you meant. Hold on.
Yep, so we got I Remember Dad's Camera, Digital, Nocturne, Freeway at Night. Beeping the Silence. Silence, yeah.
Nocturne.
The more memory stuff.
Dear Diary. When Mom was at the store. Okay, that's not anything.
No additional text.
There is some guy named, or some person named Michael D. Colin.
Yeah,
that's his bully. Remember?
Yeah, that's right.
With the asterisks on the eye.
That's Michael D. That's the person we cast as Keith Sutherland.
It might be frenemies to lovers situation.
Oh.
I mean, who knows? It's not like the most unorthodox. Yeah, okay. I mean, he does say earlier that he used to be really involved in Michael's life, and they used to tell each other about everything, you know? So.
Dear Diary, I still haven't heard from the blah blah blah. And then we have a Night Roach incoherent mess.
All right, ready to keep going?
Mm-hmm.
All right, yeah, go for it.
He's so good, though. It's like actually fantastic.
All right.
Indeed.
So that was actually the acoustic version of Alone in the Crowded Room I had to finish up with. But I want to thank Snakeskin the band again for being the money grub. Come on. What do you want, dude?
What do you want, dude? Gosh. Dude, I'm mute.
Go watch all the drag stuff I have on my recommended.
Yeah, actually, Trumbo makes a good point. I'm being ahistorical about a particular detail because eventually these things kind of get wrapped around in your brain. You don't really find out that him and Michael used to be best friends until you read 34 Sonnets by T.S. Roach. So that's a little ahistorical, my bad. We'll get there, but I promise you there's a sonnet and it will start to click together.
So, I think we mentioned this before. You know that he is a Gen Z, a Zoomer, because he does the little asterisk in people's names.
Yeah.
The character is. I'm never quite sure of the person who's behind this whole thing. Honestly, like it's like one day I think I understand, and then the next I don't. So I'm just excited to be just as surprised as you all are at the end of all this. So. Yeah, I mean it's such a like I love the snakeskin stuff. It's part of my one of my favorite beats of this whole ARG. And I don't think we're gonna get quite as far as I had hoped we would because of the technical issues, but like the snakeskin stuff pays off. It pays off in a big way. This ARG in a lot of ways, I when I go through and I try to like figure out what we're gonna do for these streams, I decide on the fly which stuff I want to not cover and what stuff we do want to cover. What's the non-essential shit I can get out of the way? You may have noticed that almost everything in Stockroach pays off. So it's like there's hardly anything not to cover because almost everything is set up 4 or 5 episodes in advance of when it pays off really, really well. Which is why we're just crawling through this thing and doing all of it. But it also means that you guys have to be on board for like 10 episodes of this shit or something. I thought this would go way faster than it has. But, shop talk aside, yeah, I mean, so, between those two pieces, I mean, it's another piece of like quintessential teenage paraphernalia to have like your edgy song that you like sing all the time. That's like pretty decent, but like, in 10 years, you'll be like, oh, I can't believe I liked that,
It's also very much a song that like I could see it being played over like advertisement for Grey's Anatomy.
or during the ballad section of Grey's Anatomy.
It's
someone is getting voted on. Someone got wrote off the show, and they're walking through the hospital doors, and they're playing this, or
and everyone's still working, and they're like, "I'm fired. I'm alone in this crowded room."
Yeah. Or a Scrubs. It also would fit on Scrubs surprisingly well.
Well, didn't the OC like kind of throw out a soundtrack that was really successful for their show, and then a lot of other shows kind of followed suit in trying to build soundtracks and soundscapes that were similar to that. That's my understanding of it. Because I think the OC soundtrack had like Death Cab on it, and that was my shit. Was like I listened to so many Death Cab songs as a teenager and was like, this is my jam, Oh
my god, I listened to a lot of things as a teenager. Most of it was like, my dad went through an emo phase, so I listened to a lot of my dad's stuff. Which was like MCR, The Used, and like Fall Out Boy.
I went through a Muse phase in high school, but
didn't go through a Muse phase. Muse is great.
I like Muse.
They're all over the place, but I mean, like, fuck, man.
I remember
Their music skills are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody shreds on like a double neck guitar like the lead singer of Muse on a damn stage. I've seen that some of the videos of those performances are just fucking insane.
Yeah, and then you get like, I listen to both like Green Day's American Idiot album a lot, and then Blue October's Foiled album a lot. Those are my sad albums. Those are the albums that I listen to. They were not good albums to listen to when you're sad, but
well, you know,
mostly because they're very sad albums.
I feel like you want to be in your emotions though when you're like in some of those states sometimes, and like that's, I feel like that's a part of like especially teenage dumb is like learning that it's okay to like be in your emotions about something here and there, and then get yelled at about your parents about how you're going through a phase.
I'm not.
Or you just hide it from your parents so they don't see it.
It's Americana.
That's what I did. That's what I did.
It's Stockroach Americana.
Stockroach Americana.
Stockacana. Stockacana
But like, what are we talking about with this? With the money grab?
Well, you know, we can also move on to Hark the Herald Angels song and My Movie 5 if you'd so desire.
Sure. We got 30 minutes.
We got 30 minutes. I think we can get through. We might be able to get up to the free Stockroach sub arc, which is a fun one. That's the one I was tweeting about today. Was the with the copyright claims and stuff. It's great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude, I think one of the things about Stockroach that like I love more, and now like doing the stream is really bringing out, is that it doesn't rest on a single like comedic beat for that long. Like you get a little bit of that, and then that maybe that beat comes back 3 episodes later, but there's always something new going on, and it's always important to this guy's life somehow. So you're like in much the way that like, you know, some sitcoms don't slow down and just kind of hit you with joke after joke after joke. Stockroach kind of feels in that way where like you're getting hit by small little narrative beats over and over and over again with new content all the time. So like I said, it's really hard to curate Stockroach because there just ain't much you can cut out. You know, you can cut out some of the DeviantArt stuff if you wanted to. You can cut out a lot of the tweets, but like, you know, other than that, there really ain't much. So, David, while you're pulling up the Hark the Herald Angels song video, I'm going to show off some stuff on...
ready to go.
Sweet. I'm going to show off a little bit of stuff to the audience, and I'll read stuff to you guys for now. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, this is how this has to work. So if I switch over to my other lovely ARG screen that we use sometimes on this show, you may notice that on December 14th, the Stockroach got 34 followers and said, "We made it. Feeling really good today. Thanks for the support." And then he says, "No new followers for at least a couple days, please." And as Tromp has pointed out in the chat before, this is his like a specific thing for him. It is 34 is an important number. I don't know if we ever really find out why, but it's important.
Well, because that's how old he pretends to be, right? Is 34.
You know, that might be why he says mid-30s. Honestly, I never thought about it, but that might be why he says mid-30s.
Maybe, yeah.
Honest to God. Like, dude, yeah, but yeah, the important thing is he gets 34 followers and is very happy about it. And then we'll move up to new stuff later. But I just wanted to point that out to everybody there. So, you know, that's all. So if we would, David, is David off screen right now?
I think
David hanging out somewhere else.
Well, we can look at his cat.
We can look at his cat. We can talk about general things about Stockroach in general, though. So, yeah, I mean, while we're waiting for David, I do think, like, I don't know, it's a challenge to cover this ARG because there's so much to cover. I feel like it would be the opposite challenge if you were sitting on... Yeah, as Trump points out, we never figure out why it's a number for him, but it's a very special number. I think the last stream we should call the 34th Stockroach stream, even if it's not the 34th stream, just to honor the Stockroach. But like I said, you know, it's like normally if you're like shooting a video and trying to cover an ARG, I imagine anyway, in like a summary form, you try to condense down to just the important shit. And where like we're live streaming and trying to replicate how playing it is like. So doing that, we're trying to cover like a lot of the content. But like when it comes to this sort of stuff, if you're trying to like like summarize Stockroach. I feel like you run into the opposite problem where it's like, well, shoot, I mean, which thread do I follow? Do I cover this arc by arc? Do I, do this by just looking at the Night Roach and like the family drama? Because like I feel like if you just cover that, you've kind of minimized the importance of the little slice of life moments that happen along the way, So like I'm not really sure there's a good way to cover this game in like a traditional sense. I just think but it is a fantastic game.
And I think you're right. There's a lot of interconnected parts that you can't really cut out.
Yeah.
There's things that you can lose, but they come back. So like we're like, who's Michael? And they're like, oh right, I know who Michael is. And that kind of thing.
It's kind of the master of the Chekhov's gun setup, where it's like, here's a song. Now come back in 5 episodes and it'll be relevant again. Here's an ARG we made. Okay, well, come back in 6 months and bam, there it is. Most important thing in the whole series. So like, these things kind of keep doing this round, and I think that's good design as far as like these sorts of short fiction projects go. A short fiction, but like it is difficult to cover, and I imagine like I would love to see like Inside of Mind, and now Inside of Mind, Night Mind, Barely Sociable. Like a ton of people have mentioned Stockroach, who are bigger coverage than us, obviously, and they haven't really come out with any videos about it yet. But I wonder if that's part of the reason why they're choosing not to cover it right now is just trying to figure out how do you cover that kind of game, because there aren't a lot of slice of life games in the genre. It's part of the thing that makes this so interesting.
Yeah, and I think Stockroach, we were talking about the genres of mysteries and things, and it's kind of a mystery if you want it to be a mystery. Like you can delve and figure out like, okay, why was he in the hospital and what's his family drama that's making issues for him and et cetera, et cetera. Like why is 34 important to him? Or you could just watch the Stockroach videos and enjoy Stockroach. Like you can enjoy it on multiple different levels.
You can just be like, these are some funny videos where this guy like tries to sing a song and then like his dog barks, and that's pretty funny too. It's kind of like it's kind of like any other game or media product, right? The gaze is, or however you think through it, um, is part of how it's part of how the play comes out from it. So
yeah.
There's a lot of stuff to say about levels of involvement in ARGs, so maybe another time. But I want to get to Hark the Herald Angels song. So David, if you would take us away to Christmas.
Take us away.
For some more excellent recommendations for drag queen videos to watch.
Oh yeah.
Let me. I'm gonna make sure that this is in a different tab.
What is this stuff?
All right, here we go.
Here we go. Very exciting.
Herald's Angel song. We also have the Lo-Fi Girl hanging out here too.
All right, boosting our audio, and we should be good to go.
Oh, I have to mute first. Shoot, sorry.
Don't forget the closed captions as well.
What's up, Money Grubs? I wanted to do a little Christmas video. Well, it's still Christmas, but I was asked to be quiet, so I'm gonna walk outside real quick. And today's lesson is not really about investing, but everybody knows the old saying, every time a bell rings, an angel rings a bell, which creates an infinite cycle, and that's why there's always music in heaven. So I wanted all my money grubs to be here today. Hark the herald sings, God, Jesus King, peace in earth, the women child. God is angry and he's mild.
Harper, Harry, engineer. Jesus Christ was born right here. Christ was born on today. That's what the ancient Bibles say. Harper, Harry, engineer. Jesus Christ was born. He's here. Stockadoodle-doo, everybody.
And go ahead and play the next one. We'll do these two as a unit. Sopranos ad, I see. How awesome is that?
Here, let me.
Well, you got 5 seconds on it, so you can just. Yeah, you're good.
Let me pull up.
Maybe
the
I'll
next
just keep this
video.
thing boosted,
Did
honestly.
he say Hark the Hairy Engineer?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
That would be correct. Hark the
I
Hairy
heard that. I'm
Engineer.
glad I heard that part right. Okay. My movie 5. Here we go. And I'm muting myself.
There's no closed captions on this one.
Yes,
So
it's
this is
another Night Roach. It's interesting. Now we're getting it. You guys are getting the Night Roach ones. We know you're learning the literacies of Stockroach. It's great in action, replicating play. And there's Inside of Mind right there. Jamie's a great content creator, and I highly recommend anybody who likes this stream and isn't following Jamie to go follow Jamie.
Today's lesson is not really about investing, but everybody knows the old saying, every time a bell rings, an angel rings a bell, which
that lag.
creates an infinite cycle, and that's why there's always...
Is it hurting you? Is it hurting you to see the stream, his cursor lag that hard? You know he's probably drawing with a trackpad, right?
Mm-hmm. Although evidence to the contrary, it seems like he has a tablet.
That's true.
Or something.
That's true. Just looking at this, like maybe he hasn't synchronized it in a long time. That's the problem. It's entirely possible. So we know about this neck brace thing now.
Jesus Christ was born right here. Christ was born on today.
Notice that the Night Roach says "hark" as the hairy engineers say, which I suppose makes this Night Roach a hairy engineer.
Jesus Christ was born. Jesus Christ.
Try to get a pause there, David. Yeah, good capture, good screen cap.
Haha.
So,
Haha, Harold.
So yeah, that's about that. So, you know, the neck brace is interesting, as Tron pointed out earlier, that probably means that he sustained some kind of physical trauma that put him in the hospital, which isn't really what we've been thinking up to this point, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's very new in terms of our understanding of the situation. But it also like begs the question of how one convinces somebody that I guess it's if it's your mom and you're a kid, you might just believe her, but like,
yeah,
it's hard to imagine that, like, it's hard to imagine this doesn't have to do with the coronavirus thing. And it's also hard to imagine that an individual would buy that the neck brace was because of coronavirus.
Yeah.
Which puts us in a really weird position, a good position, I think, to like, I think this is the part where we're like, I don't really know how to digest this piece so well. Like, I'm very interested in that particular part of the direction, and yet I don't really know what to make of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, because it's like, we were talking, like, one of the things that we were thinking about was like a possible event of the removing oneself from the world.
Mhm.
um, so like the neck brace may play into like a scenario like that, like me and David were thinking, but also why would he think it was the coronavirus is another thing that would confuse me, because even if you're like, obviously this kid is naive because we don't know, for some reason my brain defaulted like freshman, but at the same time it could be like 7th or 8th grade or something like that where he's
Well,
going
I
through
think he's
these
definitely in
feelings.
high school. Like that's very
Yeah.
clear to
Yeah,
us. So
I think
So if he's like,
I think 15, 16 was what I was
yeah,
saying.
but even like 15 or 16, like how do you not suspect something when you're on the internet and you can look up the coronavirus or see news articles
It could
recommended
be,
to you?
I don't know.
a lot of trust in your parents, wanting to. I mean, that's the other thing, right?
That's
Like
true.
wanting to trust your parent, wanting to have that like a stable
Yeah.
home life.
And I think, yeah, and I think that definitely might play into it, being able to like, um, you're very capable of being like, well, mom says it's this, so I'm going to believe mom. If you have a very heavy reliance on her.
Well, and he probably didn't have access to like a computer or a phone while he was in there.
That's true.
Like he didn't post anything until after he
Mhm.
had left. So.
And he also kind of had this weird psychotic break thing going on. It's very possible he just doesn't remember it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like where this wraps around really interesting. I mean, it gives us maybe our first kind of glance at maybe what happened with his dad, like how his dad. I mean, I really like. I lean towards his dad being dead, and I lean towards it for a lot of reasons. But the thing that comes up here is that if he was in like a car accident or something, and so this happens, that gives us an understanding of maybe how all of this came to be. But it's hard to like. I think like the home is. It's clear that like Stockroach's home is it's not stable, and so I think that lends itself to some of these particular indeterminacies.
Yeah.
I didn't come from like a really stable home environment, and yeah, I mean sometimes you have to present yourself as if everything is fine, everything is stable in the home, even if it's very much not. And so I think maybe that's part of what we're getting out of this, is even in this context where we're seeing these kind of intimate moments from him, he's still trying to kind of compensate and trying to make this feel more stable than it is.
Well, it's like the dependence on mom and all that kind of stuff. And you have to see that there's got to be some sort of questioning, because he accidentally found his mom's journal.
Well, he said he started looking for it, like there's a little bit of an ambiguity where he goes, I accidentally looked for it. And it's like, okay, whoa. How do you accidentally look for something?
Yeah, well, that's also like a deflection of responsibility. Like, oh, it was an accident. Also, my cat is doing his thing.
It really puts the Stockroach in this interesting position where we can understand him as an unreliable narrator, but not in like the traditional sense. He's not unreliable to us. He's more just unreliable to himself and by accident. But it also you have the countervailing force of like he's trying to pretend to be someone else, which is more traditionally an unreliable narrator thing. But by doing it, he's also just exposing all of these true facts about his life. So there's a sense in which he's both more reliable than he purports to be and less reliable than he purports to be.
He's kind of consistent in his, and I think that's the reason why the character works so well.
Yeah.
Is he's consistent in his bad, in his unreliability. Like, that he's going to constantly pull up a diary entry, so you're like, oh, I have to pause it, like read it if I want to. I know that all of his recording sessions are going to be interrupted by Champ, so there's always going to be that level, and I think it's kind of like a gamification of it almost, where you have to have that consistency. The puzzle element has to be there. And it also is like he's reliably doxing himself, and he's reliably making himself a parent.
Yeah, you navigate the text by like trying to look for these interstitial moments.
Yeah,
but because
and
it's like ergodic. There's a non-zero effort that has to go in. You want people to be able to follow it. You have to make it rhythmic. You have to make it a mechanic where you're like, okay, well, eventually after 10 videos, everybody in the room is like, oh, we got to pause it. We got to pause it. We got to pause it. No longer do we need Trom to every time say, hey, pause the video, pause the video. You learn how to play the game. It's just that playing the game is like physically very different than what we maybe traditionally think of as a mechanic.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, David.
I was gonna say it's multimodal, but not in like the traditional sense of audio visual. Right, but it's multimodal in that like you're literally using different mediums.
There's like a conversation to be had. Sorry.
Multimodal and used together.
Yeah.
There's a conversation to be had about like because it is an ARG a video game in the sense of like well, not all ARGs, but let's say is a video-based ARG a video game, right? And in the literal sense, it is a video and a game. So perhaps that is true. But and obviously your definition matters here. But I think there is a generative conversation to have about like, well, what kind of traversals do we count as like a computer game or a video game versus another kind of game?
Yeah.
Is it tied up in like specific mechanic routines?
Yeah, and I think like paranoids.
Mm-hmm.
The one that we covered previously was a little bit more what do you call those things? Like full motion video games.
Oh, it's like an FMV game. Yeah,
it's like an FMV game.
Yeah,
where
I can see that.
You watch and you can pause to see certain things, and there's other stuff that you can go look for. Whereas like I kind of view Stockroach as more of like a word puzzle.
Oh, that's interesting. That's really fascinating.
Because there's like, here is this thing, figure it out. Like here's this part and here's that part, and you have to look for the certain bits and pieces. Whereas Paranormal's like watch videos, kind of go through tweets, kind of like that's more FMV sort of that kind of thing.
I mean, it's interesting that you analogize it to like a more tactile, complete, focused kind of game anyway. But I can totally see what you're saying, and I think that might be the most generative way I've ever heard somebody talk about the different mechanical difference between different types of video-based ARGs. Is like this one's more like an FMV, because the normal way you hear it is, well, this one's more narrative, this one's more gameplay, and I don't know if that's really an effective like dichotomy to set up.
Yeah, I think a lot of the ARGs are meant to tell somewhat of a story.
I mean, not everything's not 10. Like, there are some ARGs that are just mostly cryptography. Like, all you do is you solve a cipher, you send that in, the cipher is accepted, you move on. Those become kind of like a weird, like almost a mock game that like coders will play to learn how to hack. They become a very, I think, I've heard about these sorts of things. I can't remember what they're called. I think they're just called capture the flag games or something like that. But like, it's not everything's not 10, which is a fun one, but like it's mostly just really coarse audio that you have to decipher to get narrative rewards. Whereas in this case, it's, we don't have to do that much labor in terms of like puzzling out the answers. We just have to assemble things.
Yeah, so that's word puzzle.
Yeah,
sort of aspect of it, or in like Stockroach is like with his intersecting like social media worlds and such, you could also view it as like a math word problem almost, like go over here, do this, go over here, do that, go over here, do this, get the full solution.
Would you consider then, right, because that's very much how you would like code a game, right? If you press X button, this happens. So like I wonder, do we think of the structure of an ARG as some kind of, do we analogize it to a coding metaphor, or is the data of the game being constructed, because it's not within that coding development, right, that we typically associate with video games? Is that what distinguishes it from video games in some sense?
Well, I mean, I'm inclined to say, yeah. I mean, if it's not, but even that's difficult, right? Because there are ARGs that boot in an executable. Like, if we ever want to sit down and do like a crossover with Lunch Zone or something, or Critically Acclaimed, or any of our other shows, we could play The Black Watchman. And And the Black Watchman is an ARG that is mostly playable in the Alice and I think it's Allison Walker that did it. You can chat and correct me if I'm wrong, but you can basically just play it in the executable. There's a lot of like traversals of the media inside of it that are taking place, but like it's a game. You buy it on Steam, you download it, and so at that point, you know, it is a coded environment. At least it is one coded environment, as opposed to kind of this other stuff, which is like 6 different platforms that are being hijacked and recycled for the sake of, you know, like we were talking about during the interview stream, that, you know, ARGs are recycling the logics of existing platforms. They're changing the way we engage with something like Twitter, or changing the way we engage with something like YouTube. And it kind of
reminds me, I don't remember what the game is called, but the game is you're like a surveillance person, and you're like looking through.
Is it Untold Stories by chance? Because Ryan keeps bringing up that game.
I don't think it's Untold Stories.
Oh, is it one of the Sam Barlow games? That's my other guess.
I have no idea. It's a game where you're tracking down protesters and dissenters, and you're looking through their social media feeds, and then you're hacking into their files, and then you're figuring out like what exactly is their crime, and then over time you realize that their crime is nothing except just political protest. I don't remember what the game was called. I watched a presentation on it, and that's where my brain went to. But that's kind of it has similar elements to an ARG, where you're looking through different platforms, and then you're gaining access to actual files to look at things, and then you're solving this mystery, and et cetera, et cetera. So it kind of is this coded space, and that is very much a video game, because it's sold on Steam, right? And it's fictional. So like ARGs kind of sell themselves as less fiction and more nonfiction. So there's that element to it, and I think that's what kind of unfiction.
We've gotten a lot of like there's sometimes we get like flack for that from people outside the community. They're like, unfiction? Well, isn't that just fiction? And it's like, no, it's fiction with benefits.
It's kind of like an historical. It's like historical fiction or something, where it's like it's trying to be realistic in a way that sells it. It's not called augmented reality for nothing.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily know how to clearly define these things. The fun thing about doing this this show in 2021 is that the industry hasn't really solidified yet. We're tracking this early days. You know, the medium's been around for 20 years. God damn it, we don't know what we're doing. So
yeah, well, that's kind of why it's like it's such a like companies get into it. Like companies go, oh, this is a great way to do advertising in a way.
That's how it started.
But it's how it started. But it's still a very homegrown sort of game, where it's just one person who decides to do the thing, and there could be multiple people who do the thing with them, but it really is more homegrown, I think, as a genre, and I think that's why it hasn't really solidified.
Yeah, it definitely we should go back one of these days and really dig into something like Majestic. So one of the big ARGs that flopped hard, and you'll see pretty immediately how like there was a big corporate buzz. Things didn't go very well, and the outcome was corporations don't touch these things as much as they otherwise would have. Or at least traditional gaming press don't. And so, like, there are still a lot of marketing ARGs, but they tend to be smaller scale than something like I Love Bees. And, you know, there are a ton of, like, so there's a historical reason why we don't see, like massive promotional ARGs. Although I think they're slowly creeping back, to be honest. Like, I wouldn't be surprised in the next 5 years if we get another shot at it.
And I wouldn't be surprised if people forgot that they were called ARGs.
Oh sure,
if people just kind of came up with a mixed media marketing campaign.
Yeah, I could see like kind of parallel thinking happening.
That's exactly what it would probably call the mixed media multi.
MMM.
Yeah, no, MMM.
Monday.
We're doing. Oh god, we're doing mixed media marketing.
Mesmer and Braid was the right scale for Hollow Vista. I mean, I agree with that, and I'd love to. That's another one we should bookmark at some point. If somebody recommends we do Mesmer and Braid's Hollow Vista, we totally should. And that's a great ARG. It was excellent. It was perfect for releasing an Android application. And so, you know, but like, and that's the thing. It's like there's the right scale, and then there's the scale I'm talking about, which is not necessarily the right scale for like a small scale product launch, but I'm saying like you know, like the biggest budget imaginable, like the triple ARG, if you will. I feel
like Mountain Dew would make an ARG. That's huge.
I could see, like, honestly, it's kind of surprising that the ads for like Skittles, those sorts of things, have not more often evolved into some of these campaigns, given how bizarre they truly have gotten. Some of them have, not a lot of them, compared to like the possibility of seeing a lot of these like explosions in weird ass advertising. But, you know, again, like they're coming back, and they've been coming back for a really long time, slowly. But like, there was a huge flop from like 2001 to 2006 where people were like, this is the future, because a couple hit it really big. And then everything kind of just went downhill. You know, there was a bust. There was a bust.
Like internet in a nutshell. Two or three things get really big. Everyone jumps on it. It all flops. Move on.
And the indie scene has been a slow and steady growth, really. Like, I mean, it's me and you know, me and some other people I've talked to, especially like Mike. We're talking about like, you know, oh, well, are ARGs really getting bigger? Are they really getting like, they're really getting more numbers, etc. And Michael Anderson, ARGN guy, probably the smartest guy on the subject of ARGs, period, at this point. I would pose him as like the world's foremost expert, just in terms of, you know, how much he knows about so many different games from doing these coverage over the years. But like, ARGs are getting bigger, not smaller. Like the indie ARGs, PBS here pulled what, like 5 million people, 5 million followers, something like that. You know, I mean, that's ridiculous. And the games are consistently starting to like small, like, you know, little one hit wonders here and there, where like, bam, that's 1 million views, bam, that's 2 million views, you know, whatever else. So the indie scene is doing things in 2021 that it could not have done as easily in 2015 or in 2010. And, you know, 2010 we had stuff like Marble Hornets hit it big, but there's a difference between Marble Hornets big and like, you know, there's not much difference, but there's a difference between Marble Hornets big and like a bunch of ARGs hitting it big on that level, you know, and a bunch being like a handful instead of like one or two is what I'm trying to communicate.
And I also think that the digital infrastructure of the internet is much different in 2021 than it is in 2010, even 2016. And I think it's knowledge of platforms. More people understand how to post something on TikTok or Vine or Instagram that could contribute and connect to things like Twitter and Facebook, because people are just more aware of how to connect social media platforms and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Everyone, you know, almost all the big YouTubers have posted like, hey, I'm on 5 different platforms, and you can just see how they do things, and then that you make an ARG based on that. So I feel like there's a knowledge access that is different than what it was in 2010 that allows indie people to build ARGs that are more engrossing than they have been, and that might be why there's more bigger. There's more that are more,
It's hard to know. I mean, like, I'm sure it's a confluence of factors, but I absolutely agree that the increased literacy has to be a part of it. On the subject of Stockroach stuff, let's do one last video tonight, and then we'll call it after that. So the last one I want to hit is 3+ job tips for acing the job interview, which is a really interesting post. We'll probably have a lot to say about it, and then we'll kind of leave it from there. And we'll pick up, I guess, with the free Stockroach arc next time. And I mean, hopefully my internet will be fixed by then, and we don't have to juggle the technical issues the same way we have been. So David, if you would start us up the last video of the night.
Sure. Eugene Billar.
I actually don't know if there's more about Eugene out there. I'm sure the Stockroach, the Money Grubs in the chat will be able to help us if there is more about Eugene out there, but I think he was kind of a one-shot thing. I'm not sure.
All right, here we go. Oh, I gotta mute myself.
So long to get back to you. Your email just kind of got lost in the holiday rush.
Don't forget to
it was really good that you followed up.
Closed captions.
Jenny was saying.
Any thoughts about this?
Oh yeah, so he's gonna type like live while he's going, so it might be better just to let it run in this case.
Okay. And then we'll talk later.
All of these before we started viewing.
That you had a lot of enthusiasm, and we are still looking for a few more people to help fulfill online orders right now. So Sorry, are you typing?
What?
What am I hearing?
You were hearing? I don't know what that was. I'm actually not typing right now, so I think that if you heard something, it was probably on your end of the connection.
Okay. Well. Sorry. Anyway, let's just pull up your resume, and you can take me through. I've seen a couple unusual things on your resume.
I mean, like unusual in a good way, right?
Well, like I noticed you worked in Japan. That's really interesting, but
It was very interesting.
I don't think